All right, Film Speaks Part 2 is here. I got to change some things a little bit for you because my kids, they want to decorate the tree, and I got to get a computer built for them that I've been promising them. So I had a statistical analysis about receivers and routes, blockers, and pressure combo package. First half, I showed you, was like I counted up, it was like 3.3 and 6.63 blockers. Now, I'm going to do the whole thing tonight. I'll do a little short and put it out for you so you have all the information. But it's a big project, and my kids, they want the Christmas tree and the computer. So I'm going to get into a couple of things quick here because I really I love comments. And a commenter from a pretty established or successful person in the media industry, he takes his time to view this monkey over here, WAGA. He worked for the BBC. And he said this: the pressure rate on Tua versus the 49ers was one of the lowest in the league last week. At least that's what I've seen reported elsewhere. With respect, are you maybe seeking out stats to support your pre-existing point of view rather than looking at the stats agnostically? I guess they said, it's a little smart word there. I got to go check that in the dictionary. I think I know what it means. But anyway, so then he came back. I said, no, that ain't true. He said, I heard Sims Florio say two separate things on different days. They said the seventh lowest, then they said the third lowest. And then to be fair, Florio, it was Sims who quoted the numbers. I think Florio is probably a rigorous individual, meaning he checks his stuff. Well, okay, here you go. PFF for Tua against San Fran. Kept clean, 26 dropbacks. Under pressure, 10. Okay? And then you can see dropback percentage, 27.8. He was under pressure, 27.8, so just a little over 1 out of 4 passes. Not blitz, 33. So out of 36 dropbacks, I remember some of those were also penalties, so that didn't count. So he was only blitzed 3 times. That is not low pressure. Tom Brady was pressured, I think, that much in his Tampa Bay game, just a little bit less, and he was screaming up the yin-yang. But here's the big, big difference. Now, when you got 6.63 blockers and only 3 guys in routes, and it's worse the second half, when I put it all together and give it to you, it amplifies this geometrically. Because it's not like Joe Burrow, who's got 5 guys blocking. He's got everybody out in routes, like 5.5. He usually got some guy chipping and going, you know. Tua had between 6 and 8 guys blocking every single play, but like 3, and it was disaster every single time, except for one when it was a swing pass. You'll see. I got the film coming up. All right? So you'll see for yourself. Go back and watch the first, then watch the second. It gets worse. So it's not like he's got a lot of choices in his route combinations. He's got 7 guys out there with 2 and 3 receivers. He's getting rushed by 4. He's got 6 to 8 blocking, and he's still getting that kind of pressure. That's called context. So now I'm going to add it to a little bit more. Here's advanced pass stats from Pro Football Reference. And you can see week 1, 7 bad throws. He had 6 this week. You see at the bottom. You see it all on the left side, the weeks. You know, he's got first, second, third, you know. So first week against the Patriots, 7 bad throws, 22.6 bad throw percentage, sacked 3 times, but he was blitzed 16, 15 pressures, and 41.7 pass pressure percentage. And you can see over here, he's had more bad throws. He's had at week 5, 8, 22%. He's had 23 bad throws in week 4, and that was 21.4 bad percent. So then you see 7 to 9, he's had 4, 5, 5, but that was a lesser percentage right there, 14, 15, and 15 again. And you can see last week when Tehran went out, all of a sudden it went from 26-0 to totally crazyville, and he ended up getting 4 sacks with only 4 blitzes, 10 pressures, and 25 pressure percent. And Pro Football Reference only gives 8 pressures, but PFF gives him 10. So however you want to do it, it's still pretty much close to what it was last week. And that was only half a quarter. That's why, half a game. That's why it seems so much. Tua was dealing without Tehran. So this week, week 10, you can see here, 4 drops might have added last week and this week. That's a fact of 12%. 1 out of 10 balls dropped. That's something we should talk about maybe. Then he had 6 bad throws, which that's his third worst on the season, but he's had 2 weeks where he won with 5 and 5. Above that, 9 and 8. And you can see bad throw percentage, 18.2, which is his fourth most bad throw percentage. But he won yellow 3. So, and it's not out of line. He's 14.6. So it's only 4% more. Those 2 ints magnifies the appearance of things, though. And I'll give you that. Those 2 picks were stupid. But that one where he got hit and he was throwing and he fell, we've seen that before. Now, the one he threw to the out to Hill, we'll get into the film, that was a terrible one. You want to pin your hat on that one? That's fine. But as the body of work, where are you seeing it? 3 sacks, only 4 blitzes, 8 or 10, however you want, 22.6. And again, 6.63 blockers for 4 guys. You'll never see that anyplace else in the season with Theron on the line with the rest of the offensive line. And I'm going to get into all that right here with the film to show you there was an intense amount of pressure. There was limited opportunities. And when you go to the second half, Dolphins really didn't have the ball all that much. And they didn't run the football 35 yards or whatever, 33 yards on the day on the ground. And all these blockers. This is context to the situation. And this does not, I've never said, Tua had a good game. Everybody else let him down. I never said that. I said he didn't wet the bed. He didn't flop. A flop is when you have a pretty good framework, things are going good, and you just screw it up. Just screw it up. You know, you're throwing picks when there's no reason to. You're not making. This was a terrible framework, and he played 2 and 2, 300 yards, sacked 3 times. That's not a flop. A flop is when you have opportunities and you screwed up. And you'll say, oh, well, he missed a couple. Yeah, he missed a couple, but how many of those were easy passes? How many of those were dropped? The one on the out where Moose said he skipped it to him. He didn't skip it to him. It went through Waddle's hands. He was like this, looking at you and me, and the ball's here. I mean, that's like a basic catching. Your eye should be down here, catching it in. Your hand should be a basket. He's like this, looking at you. That was a drop. It wasn't a great throw, but sometimes you got, as a receiver, bail him out. Do you understand? So Moose is watching the game, and, whatever reason, he's not a machine. He said something incorrect, and everybody bought into it. Like, oh, he just wet the bed, and I'm not saying he wasn't scared. See some of these hits in the second half. I think you'd be scared too. And to me, Tua is a system quarterback. And you could take it however you want. I believe he can accelerate a system, but I believe that he doesn't have the greatest ability to lift a poor system up. Just like Breeze, just like Brady, just like a lot of guys that have been very successful. So thank you for stopping by. I kind of understand. I think the narrative out there, because I don't watch a lot of stuff, is there wasn't a lot of pressure. That's totally insane. I'll get those stats to you as far as the number of blockers, and I'm going to compare them to San Fran. It takes me like 2 hours to do it. So I like to do it for the whole league just to show you. But I doubt there is any other team in the league that week that had as many blockers and few receivers and routes as the Miami Dolphins, at least, and didn't run the football. Didn't run the football. If you know you can't protect like that, why are you throwing all day? Questions. All right, so thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you guys, everything you do. Really, especially the comments. I appreciate it. Especially when you guys call me out. Say, hey, I don't do anything to be like a shill or whatever. I'm really just trying to get to the truth because I'd rather sleep at night than be some kind of talking head. You might not like my opinion, but I really do believe it. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the comments, the likes, the subscribes. Hey, you're doing a great job, but also when you think I'm doing a bad job. I want to give a shout out to Ace Bread, my sponsor, because without them, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. Not a lot of talk. It's a little bit less film than last time because there's just a lot less plays and it's just a lot more obvious. You'll see. So without further ado, let's take a look at the tape and see what we see. All right, we're going to open up in 12 personnel versus the nickel, and I'm just going to stop here before we get into it. Notice the splits of the defensive line, how wide they are. We have a big personnel group versus a small personnel group, and what do we end up doing? And that's the thing that I want you to really pay attention to. We run a pass. Two guys, look at this. Look at the guys there, two receivers bunched up together the way they are with six guys in coverage, and we're still getting pressure with 8 people blocking. Think of that. Really understand that. And Tua, you'll see right here as he comes through. There's pressure here. Why? Because you have so much. Look at this. Ingle bumps into, knocks everybody down, shells on the ground. And you got to understand, in order to protect this poor offensive line, not only do you have to max protect, but you have to do all these crazy motions to try to help protect. And above, you'll see 75 Little sitting there helping out Jones, and he gets his good PFF grade. But this is kind of what his day looked like. So Tua, he gets pressure with all these guys. But he still breaks away. And look at this delivery. Excellent catch, but that's a nice throw. But this is disaster. And this is the second half. This is not to excuse Tua's picks. That's on him. But everything else, pretty much, you're going to see looks like this. You have 8 guys in protection. But you got to move Shell, who's slow of foot, down the line of scrimmage with a counter block motion with Ingle bumping into Connor. This was a disaster. This is a design flaw. Has to go to McDaniel. Has to. And that's a nice pass play. It's a nice action. So back to 12 versus 5. And we get Jones. He gets the false start. So now you go back, start again. You got 11 personnel with the run, and this is the penalty. And you're going to watch. I'm going to show you. It really either A, was a penalty, or I would have called it too. Look at 68 Hunt, and watch this. Look at that. You cannot get your hands across the jersey and have the guy fall on a highly successful, look at this, right in front of the ref, and have him fall like that. That is a penalty. And they said during the broadcast, oh, it was a sketchy, and everybody repeated it. It might not have been a full hold, but you would have called it too. Back to 11 personnel versus the nickel, and instant pressure. And where you throwing this football? Top of the screen, nobody's looking. Tua can't deliver it. So you want to say maybe Hill coming over the middle, that breaks late. And this is what he sees at this point. Hill's ready to break, but he can't throw it just yet. So Hunt gets beat very, very quickly. And why? Because they got to send all their protection left to help out Little and Jones. And Little's already getting beat. So, and then you get the pressure here, and he's got to go, but he can't even set to hit Hill. And then he throws the football over here. Bad decision. Should have sucked it up and taken the sack. Sure, that's a big flaw right there. They get 12 personnel versus the 43. Get the rollout, and this is the bad pick. You want to lay on these last 2 plays for Tua? Okay. Bad decision, bad throw. You can see right here his body language. I screwed up. Poor mechanics led to this throw. These are the most 2 critically poor throws of Tua. Come back to the 11 personnel versus the nickel. But you see, he delivers right there. But notice he doesn't have the pressure, doesn't have to rush the throw. But notice how they're going underneath. They can't throw vertical. They can't get any distance because they can't put enough guys out in coverage because they got to keep everybody in to protect. Back to 11 personnel versus the nickel. And that's a little catch and throw there. He's a point guard. That's who Tua is. The framework set up. That's a nice pass. Little throw behind the shoulder. Great catch by Waddle. 11 personnel versus the nickel again. And where you going with that? Two guys. You got two guys. Look at this. You got two guys out in coverage. And one guy sitting on the flat. He's waiting. And watch that throw. That's a nice throw. But you only got two guys in coverage with one guy in the depth. Then you got 11 personnel versus the nickel. Three guys in coverage with two leakers late because they got a chip. They can't get out there. They got a chip. But where do you throw this football? Where do you throw this football? Right there. Right there. And the only reason you get that is because the safety screwed up. If not, he would have gone to the leaks. Watch that. And there's still pressure coming. Look at this. Ford, Jones, and Little are already allowing pressure. But this would not have been completed. The safety held at home. But Tua did a good job, but that was all about a screw up by his safety and Hill being Hill. So you come back, 11 personnel versus the nickel, and you run it. 11 personnel versus the nickel. With those kind of splits is a win. Look at that space. Why didn't we see more of that? Why? 11 personnel versus the nickel again. You got two guys going out. That's it, two. Everybody else is blocking. Everyone else is blocking. Where do you go with it? You got to dump it. And then you get this. So two guys going out, everybody in the mother blocking, and this is what you're left to. Design flaw. We should have ran it maybe against something different. So 10 personnel versus the nickel, and nice pass play. Only three guys out, though. Only three guys in coverage. Look at all these guys blocking. And Tua drops it in. Nice catch for Sheffield. But where else are you going to throw that? All right, so 22 versus the 34, and you roll out. And, some people say you should have just ran for it. And I think he should have. It would have been on a fourth down. You don't throw that football. But you got more yards. I trust Hill explicitly. 11 versus the nickel. Another nice play. Snap and release. You saw this before with Waddle. But this is what we're left to because we can't do anything else. So it's the 10 versus the nickel. And I want you to take your notice of this. You finally get your wides. You got 4 wides, and then what are you left to do? With 5 guys blocking, you got to throw the little out and the little screen because you can't protect long enough to go vertical. You can't protect enough to get route combinations. So you got to do that. So you finally get 4 wide receivers, and it's that. Nice play. It turns out to be something, but think about that. So when you come back, 11 personnel versus the nickel. Oh, look at this. That guy should have been done all day. Look at this. 195 pounds, number one, the nickel guy. You should have been running doing this at least 4 to 5 more times, and maybe you would have got them out of there. Deep coverage, 2 safety, deep coverage, and got them out of the nickel or done something a little different. This was a bad decision by McDaniel, not just a game flow mistake. This was a strategic and tactical failure by McDaniel. Back to the 12 versus the 43. And then what do you got? 2 guys out in coverage, 3 guys out in coverage, and you drop it off to Hill. Look at all these people in the box. So you got 3 guys in shallows because you can't go deep because you're going to get pressure. So that's what you're left with. 21 versus the 43. We run it, and whoa, look at this. Maybe we should have ran more. And this is going to come up in that 3rd and 2 and 4th and 2. Nice block. Jones is what he's good at. Inside zone, using that power, and his strength wasn't given access this game. 10 versus the 43. You actually got a bunch of people out in coverage on a 3rd and 2, but you can't get the ball off because you got pressure, because 5 guys cannot block 4. It's impossible. There's nothing Tua could have done differently. Gets the ball, and this is instant pressure. Look at this. This is what he sees. Look at the route combination for a second. 2 receivers next to each other, another 2 next to each other, and 1 leak. Okay, not bad, but there's only one real option here, and you can't protect. Look at down at the bottom. Shell's getting beat. Everybody's getting beat, and that's what you get. That's what you get. Offensive line failure. This is the 10, 11 personnel, depending on how you view Gesicki. And this is a 4th and 2. And that's what you got. Nobody else open but Gesicki. And now, you want to talk to Tua? Tua's ball location was poor on this one. If he had got it out in front of Gesicki with his hands and his range, that would have been a first. But he threw it a little tad bit behind, and it was great coverage. And if somebody said it was a catch, I'm going to show you right here. It totally wasn't. But you really had no options. Look at this. This is where the ball came. It should have been out in front of Gesicki. These are 3 big plays that Tua missed. Gesicki never had the ball. You can see here clearly. Ball touches the ground, and it's not in Gesicki's hands. Incomplete. But why didn't you run on 3rd down? Okay, back, 11 personnel versus the 43, and we know this one. The sandwich, the Malachi crunch. What is he supposed to do? You try to put minimal blockers against 4 guys, and this is not a blitz. This is 4 guys. And look at all you got. Look at all the protection you got. And Jones is getting killed. Everybody's getting killed. And look at that hit. That's a brutal hit with 4. He had like 2.5 seconds with 4 guys and 2 chippers and 5 full blockers. Terrible. Look at this. This is disastrous. This is what it means not to have Tehran. That's a brutal hit. All right. So clearly, the pick by Tua when he was rolling out was a terrible throw. But watch Joe Burrow. You know how many bad picks he gets? When you throw the ball that much and you're a gunslinger, it happens. It doesn't excuse it. It was a terrible throw. His mechanics is one of the biggest problems Tua has. He has awful mechanics sometimes. And he's got to be a little more mature in understanding the situation of the game when you're rolling out to confirm. But he was trying to beat that safety coming to Hill. But he's got to be wiser in his decision-making. And then the pick he threw when he was getting blasted, that pressure was instant. Hunt was like liquefied. But he just got to hold it and collapse. But I say the same thing about Burrow, and I say the thing about Allen. When you ask these guys to throw, and you don't really got a great offensive line, you create a mindset. You could see, when you look at a defensive line, their splits tells you so much. You come out in 11 personnel or 12 personnel, and you see wide splits. They got their D-end split wide to stop the wide run. They got their D-tackle split wide. There is about 3-4 yards between every single lineman, and the linebackers are staying back 5 yards. We ran the ball in the second half and started getting hay, and why didn't we stick with it? We run the football, get to 3rd and 2, and then we go to a 5-man protection when we can't pass block. That's a bad decision. It's a bad decision. You know you're going for it on the 4th down, so 3rd down, quarterback sneak it, run it, whatever. You're ready. Look at the splits they had. I put a lot on McDaniel. And then Tua with that Gesicki pass, it wasn't you saw the narrow route combinations, and that's to draw everybody in and kind of put one-on-one Gesicki with the linebacker. And Tua should have put it out in front of him. It was probably about 2 feet inside too much. And you can blame that on him too. But it shouldn't even been to this. This game should not have been where it's at. If Tehran was in there, totally different. You would have seen everything different. We would have gone from 6.3 to probably about 5.6. And maybe around 6 because you got Bosa. But this has a lot to do with decision-making by McDaniel, certainly with the talent McDaniel has on the offensive line. And Tua wasn't great. Tua can't do what Mahomes does and Allen does as far as the scrambling and making the big plays. That's not his gig. His gig is a mobile Breeze. And he doesn't have the processing and the maturation to not throw picks. Go check Breeze through his first 4 or 5 seasons. He made bad decisions. That's what got him out of the Chargerville. But why is there no running game in situations that demand it with a guy who's a run game coordinator? That's the really key to the situation. Hope you enjoyed. I appreciate it. I'm going to get those stats to you tonight once I'm done doing a tree thing and a computer thing. I want to see these numbers. I really do. I'm fascinated by it. So I think it's going to continue to trend. So I'll get them to you guys later. I appreciate everything, guys. Catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.